right, I think we are live, it's just me tonight. And if you're tuning in live, you know what to do. Put your name in the comments, or if you're watching the replay, let us know you watch. But I am Coach Matt O'Brien, and this is the Triumph Nation live show. And we are in Triumph Nation, which is our private Facebook group for time-starved, purpose-driven people, parents, and professionals that want to live a healthier, happier, and longer life. So today, got a big episode, and Holly can't be with me. Actually, I'm taking one for the team. Holly's flight coming in from Maine. She was up there on a job, got canceled, her connecting flight into Tampa. So she had like the worst case scenario where you have to either spend the night in the airport or get a hotel for 3 hours. So she didn't get much sleep, but she's up, she's awake. But I am taking this one for the team. But I have a big announcement that I want to share. And if you didn't see it yet, start paying attention, because I am blowing it up. And forgive me now if I shout it from the mountaintops, but I'm turning 55 this Sunday, as in July 30th. And if you haven't been following my Drive for 55 challenge workout series since January when I started it, well, let's just say I've done a lot of cool workout challenges proving that strong is young, and some of the lifestyle modifications that we have the power of choice and the decisions that we can make to influence our health and longevity. What's up, Holly and Ida? Welcome to the TNL Show. But I'm about to make a big announcement, and I'll circle back to it because it's that big. For my 55th birthday, I'm doing lots of special things, but as they say, it's better to give than receive. So I want to do something really extra special. So I am giving away to one lucky person, grand prize winner, a $1,500 scholarship that is my legacy coaching. This is working with me one-on-one. Lots of hand-holding, hugs, crying, tears, whatever it takes to create the mindset, the habits, the realistic daily structure to your life that will create permanent weight loss. So I'm guaranteeing 15 to 20 pounds of permanent weight loss. And that's the big announcement. And if you are interested, I want you to put scholarship in the comments, wherever you're watching from. Put scholarship. If you can't spell scholarship, Google it. Don't use Google Scholar because you probably can't spell that. But put scholarship or something as close as possible in the comments. And just a heads up, we're using a little bit of AI to respond to those. They'll send you a link DM to the application. Just on my personal post on my Facebook page, I got like 14 applications already. So I have to leverage technology that Holly has mastering, or she is in the process of mastering, that will send you the link to apply. And then once you do that, I will be personally handling the applications. And on August 2nd, a week from today, on this very show, TNL Show, at 7 p.m., thereabouts, we will be announcing the grand prize winner. But if you don't feel lucky and never won the lottery, don't worry. I'm giving away 10 second prizes, which will be partial scholarships for 10 lucky people. So that's lots of chances to win. And I can honestly say the biggest question on the application is, why should you win? So I want to hear your justification on why you think you should win. And that's going to have a lot of weight, bear a lot of weight into the applications that we receive. So do that. And I see one person's already put scholarship. Well done. Or maybe you're just spelling it for us. Thank you. And that's exciting announcement. So I'll be circling back to that. But basically, it's 90 days one-on-one, and it's virtual. So this is online. Anybody in the United States is eligible, and we will meet every 2 weeks. We'll have an implementation session. We're going to go through some health screening, depending on what you've already done or may have already done, whatever's missing. And we're going to be talking about prevention today. But you're going to do basically what my wife just did and do all these labs that, compared to what a normal doctor does, which this is an example of one of my clients that submitted her labs, and there's so much missing that doesn't tell the whole story versus when you know what to ask for. So that's part of the process. And nutrition, that's not a starvation or restrictive approach. It's geared and customized to you, the individual. And that's the advantage of the legacy program, working with me one-on-one. It's my favorite thing to do. And just watching, I had a client come in yesterday that struggled on and off. She's been in 3 of my other programs over the last couple of years. And but now working one-on-one with me, holy crap, she is killing it. She lost 4 pounds of fat in the last 2 weeks and gained 1.5 pounds of muscle. So, and she's never, like, she didn't know if that was good or not. And I was like, that is a grand slam, baby. And so that's kind of the cool part, what I enjoy, getting that opportunity to work with people. So that's the scholarship, my birthday, 55th birthday scholarship offer or opportunity. And you just have to submit an application. So we have to get you the link to the scholarship application. So just put scholarship in the comments now, or if you're watching this at any point in the future before August 1st, we need to have those in by August 1st so we can announce it on August 2nd. I need some fair time to read and assess the applications and award the grand prize plus the 10 second place winners. So that's exciting. And I'm excited about turning 55, but let's talk about why prevention is power when it comes to our health. And I'm going to be sharing with you some personal stuff today that I've been through. I can, argue and make the logical argument that I live quite a healthy life and do all the things. I wouldn't say 100% all the time, but I probably would say 90% of the time. Work out 5-6 days a week. I track everything, eat a very nutritious, calculated, engineered diet, but it's not completely restrictive, and drink alcohol in moderation, track my sleep, track my blood sugar, track all the labs. And if y'all didn't follow me in April, I had an atrial flutter, which kind of opened up this whole can of worms. And that's why we're going to talk about prevention, because when it comes to your heart and your brain, those two things are obviously essential to life, essential to the quality of life, even if they are working partly. We want them to work maximally. And plus the other things we often forget, the liver, our kidneys, and our skin. And so let's kind of dive into some of the prevention. And this is kind of a walkthrough of what I do with my one-on-one clients. It's in my YOLO program, and all the directions and guidance and labs are there. But I find without the hand-holding, a lot of people just, for whatever reason, don't do the work, don't take that next step. So I'm always looking for ways to kind of help that in the coaching programs. But with one-on-one, I can obviously say, do this before you see me in 2 weeks. If you haven't done it, I'm going to beat you over the head with a tack hammer. Not literally, people. I don't beat anybody. I love them to death. I'm definitely not a pour on the guilt type coach, but I try to justify why it's important, why they need that information, why I want the information. And usually that works 9 times out of 10, I would say. But in the prevention game, the first step that can really reveal a lot of things that are important and critical to know, especially as we kind of cross the 35, closing in on 40, the earlier you start, the better. So if you're in your 30s or early 30s watching this, this applies to you, because if you start then, you will affect things much greater down the road. It's like compounding. Like when you invest money, you've heard of compounded interest. Health works the same way. It's compounding. The earlier you start and create these healthy habits and do the right things, that's going to compound and add things to your health. And I would say and argue that at 55, this is why I can still, hang and work out with 25-year-olds, 32-year-olds, my training partner, still trying to keep up. It's just because I started early and the interest has compounded. And from, all things, I would say things are going pretty well. But that fast forward to, this, if you've never seen what an EKG looks like, printed out one. Fortunately, this is my normal one on my last follow-up appointment. But back in April, it didn't look so normal. Actually, the tech, when we went to the emergency room, within seconds of the leads being on my heart, was like, you have an atrial flutter. So he saw the pattern, and so that created a 2-day little hotel hospital vacation or staycation at the VA, and a procedure called cardioversion, where they kind of shock you unconsciously, fortunately for me, sedated through your heart and reset your rhythm. So it's fairly matter of fact the way they present it, but the reality is your heart does stop for a second, and obviously you hope that it starts up again. So that procedure went really well for me, but in the follow-ups, my ejection fraction, the amount of blood that my heart pushes, is lower than it should be, which to me doesn't make a lot of sense based on what I can do physically. And I'm doing a lot of research myself, being my own advocate. And, I just found out today the calcium channel blocker they have that's supposed to help my heart rate and blood pressure after this process may be contributing to that low ejection fraction. So, I'm digging deep. But so on the screening side, I don't want to get too sidetracked. It's important to understand there are some labs, like if you go to your annual physical, they're going to essentially phone it in. And I want those of you watching now or in the replay, let me know, has it been, over a year since you've been to the doctor or had like serious like blood work done? Put labs in the comment if you've had your labs done within the last 6 months, and I'll give you a shout out, an attaboy or an attagirl. But even if you've done that, most of the blood work that physicians order, unless they're a little more progressive, is going to be very basic, and it's not going to reveal a lot of useful information, unfortunately. And case in point is you can have a fasting blood sugar or blood glucose in the normal range and an A1C that's not diabetic, but you could be very metabolically dysfunctional. And the way to identify that a lot faster is a fasting insulin score. So one of the tests that I have my coaching clients get is fasting insulin. And that's more like an instant read thermometer. It's going to tell you if shit is broken now, versus a fasting blood sugar level won't tell you shit's broken until about 10 years later. And then eventually your body can't make enough insulin to keep up with the blood sugar, and then your A1C starts going up and your fasting blood sugar starts going up. So those are like trailing indicators with a 10-year delay, whereas fasting insulin, if it's over 15, you got problems, and it's going to be immediate. So hopefully Holly doesn't mind me sharing some of her results, but this is kind of a case study on the way we approach our nutrition. And again, it's not that restrictive. Holly loves her wine, which she would admit, but in moderation, and definitely do treat foods in moderation and desserts in moderation. So I had her do her full screening, and like her fasting blood sugar is 98, and that's going to be very typical. And I'll get clients or do consultations with people that are, 350 pounds and huffing and puffing, and they'll say, my doctor said my blood work's great or good, and my fasting blood sugar was like 98, like Holly's. But in reality, the truth will set you free. So looking at Holly's fasting insulin score, which will tell us the whole story, 5.7. So, this will be a little friendly argument at the house, or a little fun, because mine was 2 and hers was 5.7. But anything under 15 is good, and anything 5 and under is fantastic. So she's like right there on that. So Holly, if you're watching, good job. Homocysteine ApoB, that's not going to be typically ordered on a normal panel. And Holly is kicking my ass in the ApoB department in her homocysteine, which is an inflammatory marker, that if that's elevated, basically the probability of damage happening inside your coronary arteries is higher. So we want to control that and keep it as low as possible. And Holly's is doing fantastic right there. So these are just a couple examples. I'm going to go through all of them. But another one, like for kidney function, most doctors are going to order creatinine, and that can be altered whether you worked out or not. If you're eating protein, which is recommended, could affect your creatinine score. If you're taking creatine, which is a supplement that everybody should be taking, whether you're a bodybuilder or not, because they've studied it more for the brain function lately than anything else. It's prescribed to burn victims in hospitals because of the tissue repair advantages. But creatine can raise your creatinine score. So cystatin C would be a better lab to get for kidney function than the one that 99 doctors out of 100 are going to order, which is creatinine, which comes with the basic metabolic panel that every doctor orders. So that's just one piece of prevention. Let's talk about 2. And this is one I'm doing insanely frequently right now, and that's blood pressure. If you didn't see my Magic Pill Monday live this week, yes, it's on Mondays, hence the name. It's posted in this group in Triumph Nation and on my personal profile and on Triumph Fitness. I talked about all things blood pressure, how to do it properly, how to measure it properly. So I'm not going to go through all those details, but right now, this is the mystery I am trying to figure out. And the variables between the medication they have me on, the supplements I'm taking, the nootropics, my workout routine, and some of the things I've been doing for pre-workout. That's a lot of variables. And so I'm kind of clearing the slate, adding things, testing them with the blood pressure cuff. I know when I do the sauna session, like I did this morning, it drops my blood pressure 15 points into the normal range. But blood pressure is not something you want to mess around with. And, half the people, and I went over the stats, and I even had a slide for it. But if you're over the age of 50 and you're a male, you're 55%. 1 in every 2 people have high blood pressure. And the older you get, the worse it gets. And if you're a female, it's not much better. It's like 44% out of, if you're over the age of 50, of women have high blood pressure. And high blood pressure is just going to create heart disease a lot faster. So this is why I'm desperately trying to figure out as fast as possible. And if I need to be on, an ACE inhibitor or an ARB or whatever makes sense. I'm using a calcium channel blocker now, which doesn't seem to affect my blood pressure, and it may be affecting my ejection fraction. So that's not good. So we may need to switch. So anyway, blood pressure cuff you can get at Walgreens. I have one here and one at home, and I've been checking it 2, 3, 4, 5 times a day, and situationally, depending on what I'm doing, or trying different supplements, removing different supplements. So this is where information is power. But blood pressure is definitely something you got to stay on top of, and it's very easy to do. But watch that episode. There's I did it right in the beginning, how to measure your blood pressure properly, because when you go to the doctor, you're going to want to know both feet on the ground. You want your arm at heart level. If it's above or below, it's going to change the reading pretty significantly. You want your back to be supported. You don't want to have just ran in there. You don't want to be talking. All these things typically don't happen at a doctor's office, and that's why your reading could be usually a lot higher than it really is. But you don't want to just assume that. You want to make sure your blood pressure is normal or it's controlled to normal. So that is screening number 2. I did a whole episode on skin cancer screening, and this is near and dear to my heart because I have had 3 now different skin cancers. So technically that makes me a skin cancer survivor. But like, you catch these things quickly, and it's like getting a pimple taken off. It's not a big deal, or a mole taking off. So it doesn't really register. But if I left it unchecked and I didn't do biannual screening, I do it twice a year, every 6 months for the last 10 years. I'm fair-skinned, white, and definitely had some sun damage in my earlier years. And, you pay the price later. It's whether you can be perfect for the last 20 years, but whatever you did in your teens and 20s will come back to haunt you in your 50s and 60s. That's what is surfacing. And if you go every 2 weeks or twice a year, every year, they're, to a decent dermatologist that takes their time, and they're going to kind of put their little magnifying glass with a flashlight on it and screen you as nude as you want to get. I go all the way because I'm not taking any chances. A moment of uncomfort is worth not having skin cancer on my butt. But by doing that, they've caught 2 squamous cells and 1 basal cell carcinoma very early, and do a simple ablation where they just essentially file the skin down to the mesoderm, that layer, and then it's going to eliminate any chance of that cancer spreading. So I will say, from that episode, one of the persons that watched it reached out to me, and because of that, they went and got screened and found a squamous cell carcinoma on her, and caught it early. So she thanked me. And if you are listening now and you haven't been screened, you got to go. Just do it. I don't want you to be a sad statistic later down the road. And catching it early is a lot less invasive, where they don't have to remove half of your nose or part of your jawbone or part of your arm, because once it gets deep, it can go into the bone, and then that's where bad things start to happen. Colonoscopy. It's now recommended, especially if you have any kind of family history, you should seriously consider getting it if you're 40 or older. Certainly 50 and older, you should get that screening, because they can catch polyps early. Every cancer starts as a polyp, and polyps can be removed while they're doing the colonoscopy. It's like 2 for 1, and essentially you're getting screened, and they're preventing the cancer from ever forming, because they remove it before it has a chance to do anything significant. So if you're vigilant about that, you can very likely eliminate or dramatically reduce your chance of colon cancer. And that's definitely one you don't want to mess around with. And if you're a female, you should definitely be doing your mammograms, and the sensitivity of the machine, the positioning, and the radiologist that interprets it all factor into how well they're going to screen you. But AI is getting involved now, which is actually reassuring, because AI is going to be less likely to miss something in terms of these screening protocols. So if you have risk factors, then you can go further down the road. So I'm going to share personally about my heart stuff, in hopes that maybe it'll inspire somebody like, holy shit, he's takes care of himself, and he's got some issues. It may be a wake-up call. So because of that atrial flutter, in the testing that we're doing since, and the ejection fraction thing I was talking about, and my blood pressure is kind of up and down, and it's definitely not where I want it to be. And so I'm not taking any chances. I actually asked for, and the doctor cardiologist agreed at the VA to do a nuclear stress test. And that's where they put a dye and they can monitor the flow of that through your heart while you're exercising. Or they can actually give you like a shot of adrenaline to simulate exercise now these days to create that same heart rate response. And then they can identify if you have any significant blockages in your coronary arteries. But here's the caveat to that test. It only will reveal 70% and higher blockages. So you could be 65% blocked and pass that test. So unfortunately, some things can get through. And my cardiologist shared his example of a patient that he did that test with, and then 6 months later had a heart attack, and he was like, what the heck? And so he was like 55% blocked, passed that screening test, but he had a clot break free. And, fortunately, he did survive. They got him on anti-clotting agents really fast and broke up the clots, which they do as a precaution, like when I was in the hospital with the atrial flutter. So beyond that, like if your blood labs reveal your blood pressure, like these are progressive screening that I'm kind of talking you through that I'm doing. Tomorrow, my wife and I are going to get a CT scan and calcium score at a commercial facility with the latest high-tech equipment. And if it's as good as it is, it's almost too good to be true, because they're doing our scans for free. And I don't know if that's available to the general public. My impression was that it is. And if that's the case, I will be promoting that for you or anybody to get that test done, because that would also be another indicator of calcium formation in the arteries. And when that is significant, you get a calcium score, then you know you got some plaque formation. So depending on the higher that score, the more plaque you have in your arteries. So I'll be getting that information tomorrow. I'm a little bit apprehensive, but I have every reason to believe it should be okay. But you never know. I don't have the best genetics working for me as far as my family history, but we have longevity on our side, so we just have to take precautions. Other than that, then the next thing would be a CT angiogram, and then ultimately what they call a catheterization, where they put a scope up your femoral artery, and then they literally push a camera all the way through your coronary arteries and visually see and inspect what is happening. And if there were any blockages significant, they can put a stent in. So I just had a client whose husband worked out here for a minute, but then wanted to do it on his own. And thank God he got a warning and was able to get to the hospital and had a 91 or 2% blockage and was able to get stented. But most people aren't that lucky. 55%, it's over 50% of people's first cardiac event is fatal. So 1 in every 2 people don't get the lucky warning. So it's definitely not something I want to play Russian roulette with, especially with my wife and my 2 kids. I'm going to do everything I can, screening sense and prevention and whatever I can do to best my odds of living the longest, healthiest, happiest life possible, not just for me, but for my family. So in my book, The Magic Pill, I have a chapter in there that essentially makes the argument, if you can't do it for you, maybe you can be selfless enough to do it for the people you love or people that love you, because they would be the ones that are either saddened or burdened with your loss, or burdened with the responsibility of taking care of you if you're incapacitated in any way. So just think about that and marinate on it. And love is more about thinking about others than like, oh, I don't care if I die. Well, you should, or think about what impact that's going to have on other people. So that was kind of a real quick overview of some of the prevention screening that is available to all of us. But here is the kicker. You gotta care and take personal action. So if you're watching now or the live or the replay, put screening in the comments if you commit at some point in the next 6 weeks to get that screening done, whether it's getting labs done, talking to your doctor about it. If you put screening in the comment and you reach out to your doctor, and if they're giving you any hard time about getting labs done, or you want what labs to get, if you DM me, I will send you my lab list to ask your doctor. Now, I can't coach everybody how to ask them properly, but on my form, it kind of makes a recommendation how to ask or request for these tests, because some doctors aren't going to want to do them. They're either lazy or they don't want to code the additional tests. Insurance covers most of them. And, if it doesn't, like most of these tests are anywhere from $4 to $16 worth the out-of-pocket expense. Run what your insurance will cover, which will be most, and then pay for the rest out of pocket. And it's worth getting that. Someone close to me in my family did these labs, and because she did these screening labs that I'm recommending, she got 4 of the 5 major red flags, and that was a wake-up call enough, I believe, to create the lifestyle changes, because this person loves her family, loves her spouse and her children, and it's important to think about them too, besides ourselves. So I see Ida put labs, and Ida, you're in my YOLO program. All the labs are in Guide 1. Actually, it's Guide 1 of the YOLO program. So if you're in my YOLO coaching program, Guide 1, there's a whole instructional section and the actual labs that you can download, PDF, how to talk to your doctor. So Ida, if you're asking for those, go into Guide 1 in YOLO, watch that particular video training, and download the labs and get her done. So like all these information strategies that we do on prevention, and Holly and I just have a passion for making an impact in the world. And, we want people to be happier in general. And we're going to definitely dive a lot into the mindset of happiness. I'm reading the Happiness Zones right now, the Happiness Advantage I've talked about before, and just some of the mindset things. So happiness comes first before success. That's a big takeaway. But largely, happiness is a product of choice and environment. And what I learned today reading the Happiness Zones in the sauna, which lowered my blood pressure 20 points that I mentioned temporarily, they were talking about Denmark. And, a lot of people say, our happiness is kind of wired in us. And what they discovered is that this Latvian couple that lived in a country where it was impoverished, there was not government support, there was corruption, there was crime. And then they moved to Denmark as students. And in Denmark, it's the highest tax country, but you're guaranteed, they pay for your education. So they went and their college education was paid. There's not like social status. It's kind of frowned upon to have a fancy car. They largely commute via bikes. Everything's designed. Healthcare is provided. You have a pension for life. Anyway, So their happiness score, just from moving from one environment to a different environment where they were safe, secure, had hope in general, like they went from like a 4 out of 10 to 8.6 out of 10 on their overall happiness score. So environment is important. But we'll talk about different things like that on happiness. But the whole purpose of Triumph Nation is attracting people to this group where we have the tools to give you and point you in the right direction for those people that are actually paying attention. And or Holly's doing reach outs, asking you what's important to you, and then we'll direct you to some of the training that's in the guides that's relevant to what's important to you. So kind of pay attention to those DMs and messages. And we're doing our best. It's just two of us. And we're using VAs and we're using some technology to help. But we're just trying to extend our reach as best we can and help as many people as possible and invite people into the group. We want the group to grow. And ultimately, that will allow us to leverage the size of the group to get discounts with national brands like Butcher Box, Farmer's Juice, the CGM company I use, Levels Health. Like when I have that leverage, I can go to them and say, can you give me a discount like I did with Rebuilt Meals? So the more we have and the more engaged that group, it's just going to be like the community and communal process in Denmark I was just talking about, where we can benefit together. And that's what a commune is all about, shared benefits. But anyway, I hope this is awesome. I don't want to ramble. Big announcement, just wrapping up. If you're just tuning in or you're watching this back, I'm giving my 55th birthday is coming up on Sunday. And as part of that, giving, it's better to give than receive. So I'm doing a birthday scholarship giveaway. It's worth $1,500. This is my one-on-one legacy coaching program. We focus on health screening, nutrition, and movement, sleep, whatever your specific situation. That's where the one-on-one advantage is. I can kind of steer the ship, help you steer the ship, point you in the right direction, and get you the best results possible. So if you have 15 to 20 pounds of weight you want to lose forever, these are the kind of the application requirement, and you have the motivation to do this program for 90 days. We'll determine together, if you're the winner, when you want to start. But put scholarship in the comments. We're going to send you the application. There's going to be one grand prize winner and 10 second prize partial scholarship winners. So that's many chances to win. And just put scholarship in the comments if you're watching this now or anytime before end of business on August 1st, because we're going to announce the winner on this show next week, August 2nd, 7 p.m. So tune in, and anybody that applies, we're going to send a reminder, and you'll be plugged in. So it won't be because you forgot, because we'll send you a reminder. So that's a big announcement. I'd love to get 55. It's my 55th birthday. I'm hoping to get 55 applications, and super excited for one person. The biggest question on the application is, why should you win? So put some time and effort into answering that question. Do some soul searching, because this could be a fork in the road for you, like I've had several times in my life. And whether it was at the hospital with my atrial flutter or after my mountain biking accident, hospitals have a way of making you kind of reflect on what's really important. So looking forward to getting lots of applications. Share the love. You can, help out your friends and family. If they're not in the Facebook group, get them in here. And then you can share that way, or you can share on my personal profile. If you have the link yourself, you can share it with them. So let's spread the word. And thank you for tuning in this week. Thank you for everybody for the comments. And looking forward to an amazing week, an amazing birthday. And you'll see lots of announcements and updates this week. So bear with me. And we'll see you next week when we're announcing the winner live on TNL Show, episode 13, lucky 13 for the lucky winner. Anyway, we'll see you then. Have an amazing week. And if you're local, you can join me for my birthday celebration, Irish 31, Saturday night. We'll be there from 7 p.m. until the UFC fights are over. When those come on, live music until 10. So that's my little birthday meetup we're having this Saturday. And then we'll be kicking back with the family somewhere not in the local area on Sunday. So we don't want the paparazzis. Like Holly's got these paparazzis that follow her all over the place. Cameras. We want to enjoy our little staycation. So we won't necessarily reveal the location until we're already there. So we'll see you later. Have a great night. Love you guys. And strong is young. So stay strong, my friends. We'll see you next week. Cheers.